Imagine an organization that was trusted. It was revered for its moral teachings. It stood as a beacon of light for many in the communities in view of the compromises that have taken place in many Christian organizations. This organization showed moral superiority to others. They went door to door to preach the message of the kingdom. They dressed in a modesty and Christian manner, no excesses, beards shaved, women wearing only dresses as they moved from door to door preaching the message of the kingdom. People saw them as people who were united. This was a place where families could trust, nurture their faith, and protect their children. Now imagine that same organization actually harboring secrets, shielding abusers, and silencing abuse survivors. Instead, they preferred to protect the image of the organization at the expense of victims, prioritizing its reputation above justice. This is the troubling reality of the Jehovah's Witnesses. In this 6-part series, I'm going to present the long history of Jehovah's Witnesses mishandling of child sexual abuse spanning decades, close to 3 decades. We uncover the long and deeply disturbing history of child sexual abuse in the Jehovah's Witnesses, from its shocking exposure in the 1990s to the ongoing legal battles and public outcry that continues to this day. The question is, what has the Jehovah's Witnesses leadership done to address this problem of child sexual abuse and other abuses that have taken place in its organization? What is it that prevents the organization from doing something about this problem? How has this impacted the growth of the Jehovah's Witnesses organization? But most importantly, we want to find out, what is it that they are hiding? The governing board of the Jehovah's Witnesses cannot come out in the open, acknowledge the problem, and then solve this problem. The Jehovah's Witnesses claim they know how to handle these world's problems.
In large, most respond favorably to Jehovah's way of thinking. That's why we're part of a beautiful organization that is at peace with itself and knows how to navigate the problems of the world.
Now, those are the questions that we are going to answer in the 6-part series of how the Jehovah's Witnesses mishandling of child sexual abuses is contributing to its decline and impending fall. In today's episode, we look at the long history of the Jehovah's Witnesses mishandling of the sexual child abuse from the time the exposure started in the 1990s up to the time the story broke in mainline newspapers, up to what has happened today. The long history of the Jehovah's Witnesses mishandling of child sexual abuses. Let's begin. We go back to the early 1990s when the veil of secrecy was actually uncovered. The 1990s marked the beginning of a growing awareness about child sexual abuse within Jehovah's Witnesses. Survivors started to break their silence, and whistleblowers from within the organization revealed a deeply entrenched culture of secrecy. The organization was actually protecting abusers instead of protecting the abused. The first person accredited to have come out in the open from the inside of the Jehovah's Witnesses organization was Barbara Anderson. If this video has been eye-opening to you, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Especially when I upload a new video on this topic of Jehovah's Witnesses' long history of child sexual abuse, mishandling, and how it's contributing to its decline. So let's look at Barbara Anderson's revelation. Barbara Anderson, a former witness for the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, became one of the first to speak out. While working on internal projects, she discovered systematic failures in how the organization handled abuses. Anderson's findings highlighted that Jehovah's Witnesses prioritize protecting their image over protecting children.
Policies and procedures enacted by Jehovah's Witnesses protect pedophiles rather than protect the children.
The biggest challenge with the Jehovah's Witnesses is that they play to the gallery. They condemn others. They show up an image that they are a better organization. They are not like these other Christian denominations. They promote moral superiority over other Christian organizations. And because of these problems that began to conflict with that image, they could not address the issues. How could an organization that preaches a message of holier than thou come in the open and acknowledge such a heinous crime that is going on within its ranks by its members, particularly by the elders? Then we have Silent Lambs organization. William H. Bowen, another former elder, founded Silent Lambs in 2001. The organization aimed to amplify survivor voices and expose the harmful policies of Jehovah's Witnesses. Silent Lambs documented numerous cases where elders discouraged victims from reporting abuses to authorities, instead urging them to wait on Jehovah for justice.
Silent Lambs was founded in March of 2001 in an effort to help abuse survivors find a voice and assistance in dealing with child abuse. The following video material is a compilation of key documentaries that were shown in the year 2002 as a result of our work in helping abuse survivors speak out to media regarding the cover-up of child abuse allegations in an institutional setting.
I'll go to the breaking of the story in the early 2000s. By the early 2000s, media outlets and legal cases brought widespread attention to the issue. Media coverage. In 2002, Deadline NBC aired a groundbreaking segment featuring survivor testimonies. These stories revealed how the two-witness rule and the internal judicial committees created an environment where abusers could evade accountability. Here is a brief clip of that story.
Good evening. At some point, it may stop being news each time another person comes forward to say they were sexually abused as a child by a trusted religious figure. But not yet. Though tonight, it's not priests under fire. In fact, our story began long before the Catholic Church scandal broke last January. The scenario of alleged abuse is much the same, but the consequences of coming forward for people whose faith was the center of their lives would be harsh and profound. Here's John Larson.
Let's look at the two-witness rule. This rule requires two witnesses to an incident of wrongdoing, a nearly impossible standard in most cases of child sexual abuse. As a result, many allegations were dismissed, leaving victims unprotected.
On the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every matter may be established. So Christ Jesus establishes the fact that there has to be 2 witnesses. Now, it doesn't mean that if there's only one witness, that there's no consequences. There might be, depending upon the situation. But the scriptures are very clear. Before a judicial committee can be convened, there has to be a confession or 2 witnesses. So we will never change our scriptural position on that subject.
I strongly believe that the two-witness rule is an excuse that the Jehovah's Witnesses have used to actually continue to protect its image. And instead of coming out in the open to acknowledge the problem that has been going on for many years. We don't know how long this has been going on. The very fact that the story broke in the 90s means that this problem has been going on for a very, very long time. How can a two-witness rule be used in a case of child sexual abuse? Because those who abuse children don't do it where others can see them. And the problem is that the testimony of the child was dismissed because they wanted 2 witnesses. And in many cases, they just said, leave it in the hands of Jehovah. Let's look at some notable lawsuits. Legal action began to hold the organization accountable. A key case was the Candace Conte, a survivor from California who sued the Watchtower Society in 2012. The court awarded her $28 million, marking a significant victory for survivors and setting a precedent for similar cases.
I can remember feeling like, the inside of me screaming out to the people of the congregation for help.
This woman refused to be bribed because there are a lot of cases that have been settled outside court and families signing a non-disclosure agreements. Those stories are forever buried, and no one will ever know the extent to which young lives have been damaged forever by this organization. Let's look at international investigations in the scandals. The 2010s saw a wave of international investigations into Jehovah's Witnesses' handling of child sexual abuse cases. The Australian Royal Commission in 2015. In 2015, the Australian Royal Commission into Institutional Response to Child Sexual Abuse held hearings focusing on Jehovah's Witnesses. The Commission uncovered over 1,000 cases of alleged abuse, none of which had been reported to police. Survivors testified about being silenced and re-traumatized by the organization's internal processes. If this video has been eye-opening to you, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Especially when I upload a new video on this topic of Jehovah's Witnesses' long history of child sexual abuse, mishandling, and how it's contributing to its decline. One of the most shocking things about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I've presented a video about Jehovah's Witnesses wanting to know explicit, intimate details of sexual activities of its members, especially those who have committed adultery. Let's listen to this clip from this drama that dramatizes the extent to which Jehovah's Witnesses elders ask for intimate details about the sexual activities of members who are appearing before the judicial committee.
How many times did intercourse take place?
Once.
Was it oral or anal sex involved? Meg, our job is to establish the extent of the sin you've committed and to take appropriate steps to protect the cleanliness of the congregation.
Where did you touch Sam? Where did he touch you?
Now imagine children have to relive the ordeals that they had gone through before the judicial committee. Similar investigations worldwide. In the Netherlands, a 2019 report found that abuse allegations were mishandled, with victims discouraged from involving law enforcement. In Canada and UK, survivors and advocacy groups exposed systematic failures, leading to increased scrutiny of the Watchtower Society's policies. Then we have leaked documents. Internal documents obtained by activists and journalists reveal that the organization kept detailed records of abuse allegations but instructed elders to keep these reports confidential, even from legal authorities. How can the Jehovah's Witnesses organization not be held accountable for the crimes that were committed by its frontline staff, the elders? Let's look at the recent details from 2021 to present. Despite decades of exposure, the issue remains unresolved, with new cases and investigations continuing to emerge. Let's look at the high-profile arrests. In 2022, Pennsylvania authorities charged 4 Jehovah's Witnesses members with sexually abusing 19 children. Just imagine, 19 children were abused. This case underscored ongoing failures to address abuse within the organization. In 2023, additional arrests in Pennsylvania implicated 5 more members, further demonstrating the persistence of the problem. Ongoing advocacy. Survivors and advocacy groups have pushed for greater accountability. Organizations like Silent Lambs and the Truth and Transparency Foundation continue to document cases and provide platforms for survivors to share their stories. Let's look at the cultural and doctrinal roots of the problem. Several Jehovah's Witnesses doctrines and cultural norms contribute to the mishandling of abuse cases.
So we will never change our scriptural position on that subject.
Insularity and distrust of secular authorities. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to avoid world influences, including law enforcement. This insularity discourages members from reporting abuse to outside authorities. Confidentiality policies. Elders are instructed to handle allegations internally and report them only to the Watchtower Society's legal department. This policy prioritizes the organization's reputation over child safety. Blaming victims. Victims often face questioning about their behavior, with some being disfellowshipped for speaking out or bringing reproach upon the organization. What is the role of advocates and the media? Advocates and media have played a crucial role in bringing these issues to light. Survivor stories, personal accounts have been instrumental in exposing the extent of the problem. Survivors' bravery has paved the way for broader awareness and legal action. Then there's investigative journalism. Outlets like the New York Times, BBC have kept the issue in the public eye, ensuring that Jehovah's Witnesses face ongoing scrutiny. Documentaries and reports, films and reports such as those by the Australian Royal Commission have provided a comprehensive look at the systematic failure within the organization. Then there are calls for reform. Public and legal pressures continue to mount, forcing the organization to reevaluate its policies, though meaningful change has been slow. The history of child sexual abuse within the Jehovah's Witnesses organization is a tragic reminder of how institutional secrecy and misguided priorities can enable harm. While survivors and advocates have done a lot to be able to bring this problem to light, very little has been done. Some have stormed the Jehovah's Witnesses Kingdom Hall meetings to bring the issue to their attention, but little has been done. Yesterday, I was watching a video of these guys that went to Warwick and were demanding to speak to the members of the governing body. And what did they do? They called the police on them. And they just had 3 demands. Change the 2-witness rule, allow for blood transfusion to save lives, and stop shunning. Simple, straightforward. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. If you have any comment, you want to make any contribution, you disagree with what I've said, please put it in the comment section below. For the video that I talked about why Jehovah's Witnesses elders want to know the explicit details of your infidelity, click on this link. If you want to find out how the Jehovah's Witnesses has responded to the child sexual abuse allegations, click on this link.